Well, everybody, welcome to our third official week of the hashtag weBVolume contest. Really excited to be back on a regular schedule, and actually, I was really excited to have Ryan be a guest speaker on last week's webinar. He and I actually we fought Jeremy and the entire team for years on the idea of relationship selling versus old school selling, and so it took us a while to come around to that way of building our web center business. And the reason why it took so long, honestly, is because when we first started selling websites, we were one of that few 1% that was good at cold marketing. And by was good, I mean making a sale or two every month to 6 weeks. And so for us, that was kind of successful, you know what I mean? And I was being told, hey, this isn't the best way to do it, but I was still seeing some minor results, although those results were incredibly scattered. So that was definitely one of the things that I couldn't deny. And because I couldn't deny that, because I could not deny the fact that, this cold market idea of creating prospects was making a sale every once in a while, but it was on no kind of ongoing basis, I said, fine, I'll give your way a try. And so, I really agreed to throw away everything that I thought I knew about selling and try this idea of relationship marketing. And, I agreed to be coached by Jeremy. And after several weeks of learning and coming around his way, like we went from selling 1 to 2 every month and a half, or even longer than that, to selling 3 to 4 a month consistently. And that was years and years ago. And so, Ryan also went through this whole change in this process with me, and we both agreed that this is definitely the way to build our business. So I know that we keep saying, relationship marketing. It's all about listening. It's all about the prospect. But we're saying that because truly that is in the best interest of you all. Like, yes, we're doing a contest and we want to, put through sales over the next 16 weeks or within the 16 weeks of the contest period. But at the end of the day, this is our business, and we want to have quality sales and quality customers and clients, and forever kinds of customers and clients. And so when you take the time to do it right, you get a better quality customer, you get one that's going to be a loyal customer, and you get the kind of customer that's going to give you referrals. And that's when building this gets really fun, when you're starting to build predominantly through referrals, because you have so many happy and satisfied clients that now they're talking to their contacts, their business owner friends, and recommending you. So anyway, I just wanted to do a little recap on that last week because, I was so excited to deliver that material. I was so excited because I'm so passionate about the idea of relationship marketing. And then on Monday morning, when I realized that there was no way I was going to finish my Web Center training in time to do that webinar, Ryan was happy to jump in, and I heard nothing but excellent things about it. And again, I know that he's lived through that transition himself, so really excited that we got to have that guest speaker instead of just canceling the webinar. All right, so let's move forward. Just a couple of quick announcements. Usually the way that the structure is going to go is we're going to start with results and analysis, but there's been an issue with downloading the results, and so I'll work with Brett tomorrow to get those, and I do want to make sure that I share those results with you. So as soon as I hear back from Brett tomorrow, I will make sure to post the past 2 weeks' results in our Fast Track group, just so that everybody has access to that. But what I can say is that from judging from what I've seen in our Facebook group, there's been a ton of really great success and a lot of great momentum started. And I'm seeing a lot of posts, not only about sales that are happening, but also about appointments that are being set. And so just keep this in mind that, this is a process just like building the business. And if you're new to web centers, the best way for you to understand how this goes down is to just compare it to the way you build a business. So, it's a prospecting situation where, we're going to identify good candidates and we're going to qualify them, but their timing is their timing. And so we want to make sure we're helping them through the evaluation process so that they can make informed decisions. And again, that's the kind of decision we want them to make. And by the way, tonight's topic is all going to be it's all geared and based around motivating your prospects to buy. How can you help them through that process? How can you help them make those informed decisions quicker? And so I'm excited about that. So the third thing that we'll do, or the second and third thing that we'll do, is we're gonna have a training topic, just like every week. And that, like I said, we'll go over that in a second. And then we're gonna finish up with a challenge of the week and some questions and answers. So, I really, really am pleased with how this is going. This is a new thing that we've done, this particular contest series, where we're adding a challenge of the week. And all it is really just summarizing what we learned that day and turning it into an actionable, focused item for the week. And they seem like small tasks, but I'm getting emails and messages about how that little task, that little challenge of the week is helping to keep people on track and really improve in these little areas. I mean, it's all about keeping it digestible, right? And that's true for any big goal that we set. And, getting great at web centers and learning how to really master this program, it takes some time. I mean, it's really a simple sales system. It's really all about making a strong referral and edifying the product specialist. But for those of us that want to grow into a more advanced role, like Ryan and I did, you got to do one new thing at a time. And so that's what this is all about. Please keep in mind, we are recording these webinars, and that the recordings and the PDF copies of the presentation are being made available on weBVolumecontest.com. And generally, that's happening by midday on Tuesdays. So we can't guarantee the recording. So the best way to make sure you get this information is to show up to the live session. We do not record question and answer sessions, just so you know. And yeah, so that's the gist of that. So what's today all about? Like I hinted at a little bit earlier, today is all about motivating your prospects to buy. And so the first thing that we want to just understand is, why are prospects motivated at all? What is it that motivates them to make that decision? And so we want to help you guys understand what motivates your prospects, so that you are more, you have some clarity around that, so that you're more effective in helping to motivate them. Then the next thing that we're going to talk about is, we're going to talk about how to do that. And we're going to talk about how we can generate interest so that they can make an informed decision faster. So how can you really pique their interest on a case-by-case basis? The difference between selling and solving problems, researching in advance, the different tools and resources that you have to support this process, and then different questions and ways to approach your conversations with your prospects. And again, all of these topics are all geared toward, how can you motivate a prospect? Because let's just be honest, some of the people that you reach out to, the timing is going to be great, but the majority of them, you may just be talking to them and it was either on back burner, or they hadn't even thought about getting a website, or they haven't thought about updating their website, and you're just bringing it up. So that's great that we're starting that initial conversation. We're getting our prospects thinking about getting a new website or getting a website at all. But again, if it wasn't on the forefront of their mind, they may be less motivated to make a decision. So let's just understand what kinds of things even motivate our prospects in the first place, so that we can do those things and help them to move forward. So our goal is to help them to help ourselves really overcome the hurdle. Because let's be honest, one of the biggest challenges that we are all facing when we talk to our prospects is, like I said, it's an initial lack of interest from the prospect. And what I mean by that is, it's not that they're not interested in having a strong business or having a strong online marketing presence, but again, if they're just on your names list and they haven't been prospecting or looking into options for their online marketing strategy, well, their level of interest is just going to be naturally lower. So how can we help them to overcome that indifference? How can we help them to understand and discover the value of our product and how we can help their business? Well, there's a number of things that we can do. But first, we need to understand what it is that even motivates a prospect to move forward at all. Well, very simply put, and this is Dale Carnegie stuff. This is foundational stuff that hasn't changed. Prospects become motivated when you help them discover and solve their problems better than anybody else. So simply put, it's not about what marketing material you have. It's not about, some magic thing that you're going to say to your prospect. It's simply about making, being of value to that person. So if you're having a conversation with a prospect and, they didn't even think about something and you were the one to pique their interest, that's good. That's good in itself. And not only if you help them to discover what issues they have, but help them to find solutions for that better than anybody else that they know, that is going to help motivate them not only to solve their problem, but to work with you. And that's ultimately what you want, right? You don't want them to just solve their problem and go to some random place. You want them to solve their problem with you. And so it's our job to help them through informed discovery. So it's our job to discover exactly what their needs are, what challenges or wants that they have so that they can become motivated to solve a problem at all, right? And that's all done through this process that we're going to talk about tonight. So once we help them to identify some needs or some challenges that they need to overcome, our next job shifts. It shifts to helping and sharing solutions, creating opportunities to solve that problem so that not only are they aware of a problem, but they're aware of a solution. So I would write that down. Be aware of the problem that you're going to help them to identify and help them to become aware of the solution, which is an appointment. Now, let's just be really clear before we talk about the conversation stuff that we're going to do. It's really important that we have clarity around what we're asking of our prospect. We're helping them to discover issues that we can help them overcome, but the solution always has been and always will be an appointment. It's really important that we understand that it's impossible to sell a website in 5 minutes. There's just no way. And so we don't want to do that. We don't want to attempt to do that, because if we try and do that, what happens is we often divulge too much information, but not enough information. And what I mean by that is you end up sharing just enough information for your prospect to make an uninformed decision because they think they have all the facts when in fact they don't. And so we're still going to be focused on scheduling an appointment because that is the solution for whatever issue or need or want that your prospect has. It's an opportunity for them to get the information on how we can help and to be able to ask their questions with a professional, which is the product specialist. So why do we do that? Well, because this is what works. It takes time. We need to engage in these conversations and this idea of informed discovery so that we can build quality relationships. So the old school way of selling was high pressure selling. The new school way of selling is relationship selling, right? Old school was to deliver a strong sales pitch. The new school is to stop the pitch and start a conversation, right? That's how we do that. If it was about delivering a strong sales pitch, well, then your prospect will have already had a solution because there's a million commercials and things being marketed to them all day long. There's people that call them all day long and they're not listening because we are in a high-tech world and people are craving that personal touch, that connection. Well, that's why new school selling works. That's why the conversation matters, because it lets the person know that you care, right? And by the way, if we're just focusing on helping them to discover their issues, well, we're no longer, dealing with rejection. We're no longer dealing with having to overcome objections because, we're not focused on how many rejections or no's we can get. We're focused on how many conversations we can have and how many opportunities we can have to discover if it's even a good fit. Right? We're not worried about our closing and our high pressure sales or scripts that we're going to say, but rather we're focused on listening, identifying issues that we can solve, and just solutions. We're focused on the prospect. This is like honestly the most fun and relaxed way to sell. And by the way, it's the most efficient and effective way to sell in 2014, 2015, and the years to come, because again, information is not difficult to find anymore. Customers and clients are more educated consumers than ever before. They can find information, they can research stuff on their own, but at the end of the day, the people that are going to be getting the business are the people that are focusing on relationship building and that are focused on being of value to the customer, because it's not necessarily just the product or service that is going to keep that customer a loyal customer or to make that customer a customer at all. The customer is ultimately going to be buying you and trusting you. And so that's why we want to make sure that we're putting time into doing this right. So firstly, we want to generate interest through informed discovery. And very simply, that just means that we're going to use a variety of tools and information gathering and different techniques so that we can gather as much information about our prospect as possible. And by doing that, we're building trust. right? And isn't that important for relationship marketing, right? We can use all kinds of techniques, summarizing techniques, to confirm their needs, make sure that we're really focused on what their specific and particular wants, needs, and desires are. Because if we can do that, if we can keep the focus there, and then we can help them to get as much information around whatever it is that they need so that they will make an informed decision. But we need to do that through informed discovery. So one of the things that we recommend that we do is to do some research in advance. And I'll talk about why in just a moment, but the things that we want to find out are, do our prospects even have a website at all? Is the website any good? Is the content up to date? Who did their website? A lot of times, if you look up a website of one of your prospects, at the very bottom of the website, it'll say website provided by or website designed by. Just figure that out in advance. And another thing you can do is just Google them. Did they show up at all? Right? Is their website mobile friendly? You can check that out by just going to their website on your iPhone, Android, Samsung, or whatever smartphone it is that you have. Are they using social media? Again, you can tell these things in just a couple of seconds, 30 seconds to a minute, by going to their website. Are there any social media icons on the website? Yes or no? Now, all of those questions that I've just asked thus far, you can look at the website from a consumer's perspective and just jot down a couple of notes. And all I mean by that is you don't need to be a professional web developer to make a valuable assessment on these questions, because we all use websites every day. In our everyday life, we research products online, we get our advice online, we're socializing online, we're educating our own self before we make decisions on product, services, and information. We get all of that online ourselves. And so when you're looking at the prospect's website that you're going to talk to and that you're going to contact, simply just look at it from your own point of view. If you are going to be doing business with that prospect and on their website, does it look professional? Does it look like the kind of website that you would want to engage with? Yes or no? And then just write down a few key points that stick out to you. Now, you don't need to answer every one of these questions. These are just suggestions. And if something else comes to mind while you're looking at the website, then jot that down as well. Again, you're looking at it from a consumer's point of view. And by the way, that's the most relevant point of view, because the consumer is who your small business owner is trying to attract. Isn't that true? Another thing that you can check out, now this might take a little bit of extra research, but the extra minute or two is really, it could be worth it, because it could just qualify whether or not they have a budget, an advertising budget. So one of the ways to do that is just to check out, do they do any traditional advertising at all? Have you seen this business on television, on the radio, in newspapers, in a yellow book or a yellow pages company? Are you seeing them populate AdWords on Google? And if I'm saying things that are over your head, it doesn't matter. If you saw that they have their van detailed, or that they have some sort of advertisement in the yellow pages, that's good enough. Now, this is really cool, because I actually saw this question come up, by the way, in the Facebook group, where people were saying, should we be talking about price in advance? And the answer is no. You don't want to be talking about price before you do an appointment. And the reason for that is really simple. If you give your prospect a price or a quote in advance, then they're going to go home and talk to their significant other or their business partner or people that they know, and they're going to share the quote with them. And they don't know what that quote is actually quoting, right? They don't know that they're getting an entire online marketing strategy and SEO tools and unlimited upgrades and unlimited support and, a CRM system and social media tools and a really great content management system and email marketing system and free mobile websites. They don't realize they're getting all of those things for the price. But what they will do is they will go home and talk to their colleagues and their contacts and their family and say, oh yeah, they quoted me $14.99 and $60 a month. And you know what's going to happen is the person that they know is going to turn around and say $60 a month for a website is ridiculous. And and that's because they think that that's all that they're charging that for hosting. Now, $60 a month for a traditional hosting package is kind of ridiculous, but that's not what the $60 a month covers. And so very simply, you can't give a price in advance, because they won't put that price to the right product. They're going to go home and say the price, but nobody's going to know what that price is actually paying for. And so it's really important that you don't discuss price until the appointment happens and all of the value has been built into the product before we share the pricing options with them. Another thing is you don't even know what your prospect needs, right? We have all kinds of design products that are being released, and very soon in November, the end of November and December, you're going to see internet marketing and social media products. And the appointment is going to be really important to determine, what design package does your client need, and that will affect the bottom line, right? And so the appointment is really critical. Whenever I get people that ask me for a ballpark or ask me for a quote, that's what I'll share with them. I'll just very simply say, look, I really want to give you a price, but I need to know what you need first. And so if we could just do the appointment and go over what we have and discover exactly what it is you need, that's when we're going to be able to give you a fair quote. But until then, I don't even know where to start. And a lot of times I'll even relate and use an analogy inside of their industry. So if I'm talking to a contractor, I'll say, well, if I called you up and said, hey, how much would it cost for me to get my kitchen redone? Oh, can you give me a ballpark? Your answer would be the same, right? You would say to me, well, I really don't know. I have no idea how big your kitchen is, or if you need new floors or appliances or countertops or backsplash, or if you want me to install it, or if there's electrical work that needs to be done or plumbing. Or if you want a warranty, or what colors or what kind of materials do you want? Do you want really high quality materials? Do you want the Home Depot, kitchen in a box kind of a thing? There's a lot of things that I need to know. Let's do this. Let's schedule an appointment where I can get to know exactly what your needs are so that I can give you a quote. It's exactly the same process. So when I wrote on here, research in advance, do they do any traditional advertising? The reason I put that there is because this answer, if you have an answer to that very often can qualify that there is an advertising budget for that business. And that's important because you definitely want to work with prospects that have an advertising budget. So we definitely want to be working and kind of figuring that out if we can. Now, just a little idea, a lot of yellow page companies, a business card advertisement will cost anywhere from $130 to $180 per month just for a static business card size ad in a yellow book. And so that's substantial, right? That your prospect is paying a substantial amount of money just to have their phone number and a couple of bullet points printed in a book that most people are using for campfires, right? So that lets the product specialist know that they take their business seriously, that they have an advertising budget, and that when we quote them that $14.99 and $60 a month, which is substantially less than what they're paying for a yellow page advertisement, we're in a good place to make a sale. We're not dealing with someone that doesn't have an advertising budget. So I spent a little bit of extra time on this because, again, we're in the business of working with qualified prospects and motivating qualified prospects, and these little things really can help you to do that well. You can find this information by going to Google, Ask, Bing, different search engines, yellow books, local newspapers, TV, commercials, vehicle ads, and on social media. But just having this information can be very, very valuable during your informed discovery process. Now, there's two ways that you can go about using that information and talking to your prospects. Now, the first thing you can do is you can focus on asking questions around whatever it is that you discovered in your research. And what I mean by that is if you were doing this research and you found that the restaurant that you eat at every Sunday has a website but looks like it hasn't been up to date in years because you can tell that the prices are off or that there's menu items on there that don't exist anymore or whatever. There's no social media. The design looks outdated. Whatever it is that you found about that, well, then when you talk to your prospect, you can use that information to ask some really great questions. Now, let me just say that one more time because that is the critical piece of that. When you call your prospect, your job is to ask a question so that they tell you what you found in your research. So you don't want to pick up the phone and say, hey, so I was looking at your website and the design is horrible, and the content is out of date, and blah, 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 blah. Because immediately that can put your prospect in a defensive mode. And so if we're in the business of relationship marketing, we definitely don't want to have a situation where it feels like I'm, preaching to somebody and I'm selling something to somebody, and this is no longer conversational, but rather one directional. So what's more powerful is for me to call up and say, hey, I was checking out your website, and I don't know if I'm wrong or not, but it looks like the menu items are out of date. Have you guys updated your menu online? And just ask the question. Let them tell you that the website is out of date. Let them tell you that they haven't been able to update the menu items or the prices. That is 10 times more powerful than you picking up the phone and delivering a really great speech about how their website is out of date. Now, by doing that, you're asking questions and getting them to state different challenges that need to be overcome. Does that make sense? So we're using our research to form great questions to get your prospect to share with you different problems and challenges that they have. Now, they may not have even thought about all of the things that you discovered in your research. This little 1-minute research that you did on your prospect, you're helping your prospect to discover different challenges that they need to overcome to be more effective online. Now, the second thing you can do in your contact when you're talking to your prospect is you can focus on questions that build value in the benefits of our product. Now, what I mean by that is not the features of our product, meaning we don't want to sit there and talk around technology, because that often just tunes you out. Your prospect is going to tune you out because you're now speaking in a language that they're not comfortable with. So if you pick up the phone or you walk into a business and you're sitting there talking about, SEO and CRM and CMS and content management and CMS and social media and backends and all these other technical things that the different features that we have to accomplish the benefits of our product, you're just going to alienate your prospect. So a more effective way of having that conversation to help them discover some needs are to talk around in themes around the benefits of our product. The benefits of our product are we help small businesses to increase their revenues, to decrease their expenses, and to increase their customer satisfaction, all around by helping them to do these things by participating in the most effective way to market themselves online today, right? Which is being online, having a great website, having good marketing tools. So, for example, if you ask somebody how business has been going and their response is, oh man, business has been really slow. Well, one of the benefits that we have is to help increase revenues, right? So we would say something like, oh man, I hear that a lot these days. What are you doing to get your name out there? And get them talking about their advertising strategy, their marketing strategy, their strategy for attracting new business, right? And then you can then shift the conversation from marketing to, well, is your website helping you with that? Yes or no? And now all of a sudden you're talking about a website. Now, if you say, hey, how's business going? And they say, wow, business has been booming. It's so great we can't even keep up. Well, what's one of the benefits that you can now talk in themes around for that? Increasing customer satisfaction, right? If they say business is booming and business is great and they can't keep up, don't respond with, well, let's talk about how we can attract more business and increase your revenues, right? They don't care about that. Maybe instead focus on the third benefit of our product and say, oh, really? That is so awesome. I don't hear that a lot these days. I'm really happy for you. That's really exciting. How are you managing all of that? Is your website helping with your client questions and, your customer service? I just had that happen actually with a dentist, right? And so you talk to the dentist and you say, is your website helping to relieve some of the stress or some of the responsibilities off of your office staff? Because she said that, nobody can keep up with anything. And she said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, for example, when your office staff is answering questions for what to bring to an appointment or insurance questions, does your website have that kind of information available for your patients, your existing patients or your new patients, to kind of save time so that their time is freed up to do other things? And she said, actually, no, our website is not up to date. And I already knew that because I did my research. But I wanted to ask those questions and talk in terms of the benefits so that I could help her to discover areas that we might be able to help them with. It's just a game. It's a little game that we play, and it all starts with good research so that we can have really great quality conversations. Guys, this is the difference between a qualified prospect and someone that you talk to for a couple of quick seconds, and then they agree to do an appointment, but they're not really sure what they're seeing, or they're not really sure if they have an issue at all that needs to be solved. And if we help our prospects to discover these things, guys, the quality of the appointment is just substantially better. You'll sell websites at higher costs, and you'll have a higher chance of making a sale sooner. Now, another cool thing that we can do is we can do a 15-minute consultation. So it's an excellent tool that we have available to us to assess the specific needs of our customer. And, we'll talk about when to do this and what's in it, but just understand that when you conduct one of these things, it's completely focused on discovering the specific needs of the customer. So a lot of times your prospects are not going to want to commit to a full 45-minute appointment, and that's okay. One of the things you can do instead is say, well, look, do you have 15 minutes so that we can just ask a few questions and just find out if this is even a good fit for you? And so the idea here is that you can conduct these yourself. You don't need a product specialist for this, but you can simply go to mawc411.com, click on training and support, and then scroll down to resources and download this 15-minute consultation. Now, all it's meant to do is for you to ask questions that are going to help your customer discover, or your client or prospect discover, whether or not they feel like their online marketing strategy is working for them or not. So the first section is only just stuff that you're going to need to schedule an appointment in the future. It's just contact information, their industry, that kind of stuff. The next section is all about collecting as much information as possible about their business and about how they advertise their business. So we start by asking them, what's the primary and secondary focus of your business? So if it is a restaurant, the primary focus may be that they have, dinner, their dinner business is the primary focus, and their secondary focus is delivery, or maybe it's catering, or maybe it's lunch. Just figuring out what's important to them and what is the bread and butter of their business. Where do they conduct most of their business? Are they limited geographically to working with people that eat or live and work within a certain square mile radius? Or are they able to work in a larger region? Do they do any advertising at all? And if so, what kinds? So that's a really great direct question so that you can qualify if there's an advertising budget. Without talking about price, we're qualifying budget there. Do you see the purpose of that question? Now, below that, we shift the questions and the focus to online marketing strategy questions. And we ask them, do they have a website? Do they feel it's up to date? Who does their website? Who updates their website? Do they have any search engine marketing? Do they use social media? Do they do email campaigns? Do they have a mobile site? Do they want to sell online? Now, all of these questions that we're asking, we are not going to respond with how our solution can help them. The sole purpose of this is in 15 minutes or less to get answers to these questions so that at this point we can say, you know what, it sounds like you really may actually benefit from doing an appointment because, based on your responses to X, Y, and Z, we really may be able to help you out with that. Now, every single question that we asked here, we asked because there is a free solution built into our system to help them around that area. And so without having to go into details, you can simply feel comfortable and know that you can say, well, it sounds like you haven't been able to update your website, you're not on Google yet, and that you're really looking to get on Facebook. It sounds like our solution may actually be a good fit. We probably should schedule an appointment. Listen, one of our guys at MA Web Centers can do an appointment for you any morning or afternoon or evening, whatever works best for you. When can we do an appointment this week? And just schedule that appointment and use this 15-minute consultation to help them and discover some needs that they have, because maybe they never even thought of 3/4 of the things on this list. Do you get it? This is a great tool for informed discovery. Next is connecting the dots for your prospect. So once they have seen the appointment, right, you've helped them identify that they have a need that needs to be filled. They have done the appointment. Now, the next thing is to identify what the holdup is and share the proper information so that they can have the solution that they need, right? So do they understand our process? Do they know what the next steps even are? Your product specialist will do a good job of that, but just, following up and making sure that they understand that they can call back up and get their questions answered, that could be a really helpful thing that you could do to connect the dots. Do they understand the system? If not, what should they do? Let's get them a follow-up appointment. Do they need design samples? Do they just need a little bit more trust, a little bit more value? If they need more design samples, then share some designs from our Facebook group page, or not our group, our page. Or go to masamples.com and share some designs with them. Do they need some testimonials? Do they need some third-party validation? If so, share some testimonials from our social media or from mawebcenters.com. Do they just need another follow-up appointment? Is there a decision maker that wasn't present on the appointment that needs some questions answered? Do they need to overcome some customer confusion? Meaning, are they not sure still how we stack up against GoDaddy or WordPress or Wix or some other solution? And if so, then let the product specialist know these things. Try and discover what the holdup is so that you can, connect the dots. And by connect the dots, I mean, you don't need to have the answers to what their holdup is, but you can provide the solution. You can be the liaison. You can say to the product specialist, listen, I called them up and it sounds like they need some more samples, or they need a little third-party validation, or they're really still not sure how we're different than GoDaddy and how we might, be a better choice. Can you schedule a follow-up with them or give them a call and help them out? That is a really great use of your time, is to help discover not only their needs and help them to discover, that we might be a solution, but help them discover what it is that's holding them back in the first place and connect those dots. So we're coming in for a landing, you guys. Again, don't forget to do a little bit every day. Even though we're going to have a challenge of the week, which I'm going to announce in just a minute, you still want to make sure you're talking to, however many website prospects a day it is that you put in your goal statement based on how you mapped out your goals. And if you didn't do that, then the average is one a day. One a day can lead you 2 to 3 website sales a month. One a day, one new prospect a day. Stay engaged. I'm seeing a lot of great conversations, a lot of awesome questions and successes being posted. That is huge. Continue to do that and keep refreshing and implementing the basics. Next week, we're going to talk about qualifying prospects. Today, we talked about motivating them. Next week, we're going to talk about what a qualified appointment is versus an unqualified appointment. We're going to list different qualifying criteria and qualifying questions that you can ask. So we're going to be building on this foundation from today. Different tools that we have to qualify prospects. We're going to talk about eliminating that closing cheese. And instead of just, instead of having some weird thing that you say to, schedule a solid appointment, instead just ask for a simple commitment using their exposed pain, wants, and needs, and how to confirm appointments. Confirmed appointments are critical. You don't want to put all this effort into discovering prospects' needs and motivating them and scheduling an appointment and then having them not show up. And so having good confirmation technique is really important. So the challenge of the week is to Google your prospects this week in advance. So before you talk to any prospect, make it a point to Google them and identify some motivating areas, some problem areas that you can use in your conversation to help your prospect discover those problem areas. Now, again, you're going to do this in question form, so make sure when you Google the prospects and you find out this information that you're using that information properly. You're going to use that finding to help them identify the problems that you can solve. And I want you to focus on booking some 15-minute consultations, especially with your prospects that you're feeling like are not ready for a full-on appointment. Just go ahead and shift and schedule a 15-minute consult instead and use that 15 minutes or less for a focused, informed discovery session. So I hope that this has been helpful for you guys. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing the quality of our contacts and the quality of our appointments increasing. And let's just make it another great week and just continue to stay engaged and continue to do the result-producing activities. If you have any questions, I'm going to hang on and answer them. And if not, have an excellent week and we'll stay in touch.